I'm excited to be part of this guest lecture series and happy to speak about the topic online schooling in K-12 space and its adoption. I'm Yeshwanth Raj. I'm currently the co-founder and chief operating officer of 21K School, which is Asia's largest online school. Before starting with 21K School, I've spent over 2 decades in establishing and managing schools, colleges, and universities across India. I hold an MBA in education management from University of Southampton and was recently also nominated as one of the finalists for the Global UK Alumni Awards by the British Council. It has been an interesting journey in the education space since the beginning of my career, which I started with Bangalore-based Jain Group of institutions until now. I've seen, how the education space has transformed and upgraded itself in the changing scenarios of life and world, and especially exacerbated with the COVID pandemic. And I think that was an inflection point for the entire schooling industry, not just in India, but across the world. To give you an understanding of what online schooling was before COVID, I think in India, at least, we had only the option of day schooling or day boarding school or residential school in the physical format across India. But in the March of 2020, we saw the entire schooling fraternity pivot into an online schooling model. So, what exactly is online schooling in the K-12 space? By definition, online schooling speaks about the delivery method or the mode of delivery which uses internet for students and not physically present in the traditional classroom. So there is, so to say, there are no backbenchers, there are no front benchers. Everyone sits at home, attends the classes from their laptop or desktop at the convenience and flexibility so that they can attend the classes, which also helps schools like us to get the best of the teachers from anywhere because the teachers are also teaching the students online using the format and the platform provided by the school. So just to clarify, online schooling is not what the physical schools did during the pandemic. That was a makeshift arrangement where the links were shared by WhatsApp or whatever mediums they found and then used Google Meet or Zoom. That exactly is not online schooling. Online schooling is far more pervasive. It is a completely a digital first approach for schooling and provides a lot of flexibility, convenience, accessibility, and a personalized learning experience, making it a popular choice for parents and students, especially of this new age. So just to make it clear, we are talking about a different form of schooling experience, giving more choice to the parents and students, where they can look at physical school, day boarding school, day school, residential school, and also look at the online schooling. Of course, there are terms like homeschooling and unschooling and road schooling also, which is prevalent. But I am of the opinion that online schooling is not homeschooling. Homeschooling refers to something that the child is at home, but is extremely unstructured. It is extremely child-centric, unlike an online schooling, which is a proper, formal, mainstream schooling option, with just the medium being the delivery through an online platform like us. So online schooling in India. So before June 2020, there were no online schools in India. And in fact, in Asia, there was only one online school that was in Singapore. So the current state is that, in India alone, there are more than 15 online schools, which is operational. Its adoption has been fantastic in terms of the parents and students. I believe that this is just a starting of the adoption trend, which I will speak more in the later segment. And 21K School was the first online school which started in India. And today it is the largest online school in Asia. So what I also mean by online school is that we don't have a physical campus. We don't have traditional classrooms, grounds, facilities, land, and building. We are not limited to one city or geography. In fact, we have students today from 72 countries across the world. A little more about 21K School, just to set the context of online schooling. At 21K School, students study from home, but it is not similar to the homeschooling because they have a structured timetable, a schedule. Either they can choose the morning batch and afternoon batch. They have the options to study between the Indian curriculum, British curriculum, as well as the American curriculum. And we can definitely boast of world-class teachers. Now, why this is important is because in an online schooling where the classes are conducted live, the parents, the students, anybody can actually see the quality of the teachers. Where If you think of a physical school, it's a complete black box. As a parent, you would never be able to understand what's happening inside the four walls of the classroom. You will only get to know some insights based on the report card or the student's feedback, how happy or engaged he is in the during the day. But in the online school, you can't really fake the quality of teachers. Even if a teachers make a simple mistake of pronunciation or grammatical error, we have seen in the past that parents have reached out to us raising complaints and issues. So that is something that we are very proud of. And that's one of the reasons why today we have over 7,000 students from 72 countries across 62 nationalities. Mainly it's Indians and people of Indian origin, but we're also seeing a good adoption of Indian and British curriculum in among other nationalities. So in our experience, since the 21K school, which we started in June 2020, this is our fourth academic year, which we're planning to start. What we have seen, the parents have really understood and appreciated the concept of affordability and accessibility. So typically, our annual school fees is like just about 55,000 to 60,000 per year. And plus the parents save on the transport cost and uniform, which translates to easily into a saving of another 30,000. And what is important is that the school size that we have in the classrooms is just 24 students in the classroom, right? So you have accessibility because irrespective of your geographical location, you can sign up for an online school, especially in smaller towns and cities or just at the outskirts of large cities like Bangalore and Mumbai. So affordability and accessibility becomes an important benefit. Flexibility and convenience, because it also gives the option of morning batch and afternoon batch, convenience of just attending the PTM, not being bothered about bullying, harassment, or other safety issues inside the school. It's also becoming increasingly a convenient option. And third, and the most important, our focus in an online school is mainly on the learning outcomes. So you can use a lot of data analytics and data that you gather from the online schooling experience to actually prepare a more personalized learning experience, which is simply not possible or not easily achievable, at least in the affordable category of the physical schools that we are referring to. So let's look at the growth of online schools. There is a research by ISC, which is an international body of research, which has done significant work on online schooling and demand in the recent years, and especially the impact post-pandemic. So what it has projected is that the global market value is $350 billion by 2025, just 2 years later. And this it will reach to 585 billion by 2027 in 2 years' time, more than doubling the value from 2021. That's when the pandemic was at its peak. So parts of Asia are now driving growth because of greater internet penetration, government policies. If you look at even in India, Delhi government has already started its virtual school. NIOS has its own virtual school. Rajasthan government has given approval to 7 different virtual schools to offer the online schooling platform in various positions. So I'm expecting more state governments and central government to come up with the policies and practices for the online schooling. So there's definitely an increasing trend. And what has also changed is the internet penetration. So if you look at the cost of data today, it's probably one of the cheapest, especially in India. And also with the 4G and 5G launches, it has become much easier and convenient for any parent or child to attend online schooling from home. So I'll quickly summarize the drivers according to us that we have seen for the online schooling adoption in India and the rest of the past. One of the biggest reasons why parents are joining us is the dissatisfaction with physical schools, especially with the informed parents. They are aware that the schools have not been able to improve the learning outcomes, and they have looked at online schooling to improve. Because with just 3 hours of online schooling, we've been able to demonstrate fantastic learning outcomes for the students. That's why our students have scored in the top 3% of the global ranking in benchmark tests like conducted by Australian Council for Education Research. So especially in the middle school and the upper primary grades, we are seeing a lot of students moving to us because they're not happy with the physical school. Second is the cost of education. I think there is an increasing cost of education. And by cost of education, I'm not just referring to the school fees, but also the transport, uniform, books, events, activities, annual day, deposits, and donations, and all those things is also adding to the woes of parents, where not everybody. For example, the British curriculum today in India, you can study Cambridge curriculum for fees which starts with about just about 60 to 70,000 rupees, which is unheard of in the Indian subcontinent. Changing lifestyles and preferences, parents are today extremely mobile. They don't want the physical schools to be restricting in terms of their own career growth and potential. There are parents who want to move around the cities, travel throughout the year because of their job or because of their lifestyle preferences. And also the informed parents think that, they don't want the child to be a part of the rat race as well. So they prefer personalization, flexibility, skill-based learning, stress-free assessments, and convenience of data-driven instructions. So a lot of informed, progressive parents are switching to online schools. Safety and security concerns is one definite biggest influence. It is no surprise that, in Kota, we have reading about stories of 25th reported suicide. We don't know how many have been unreported. And I think the stress and the trauma that comes with the safety, whether it's bullying, physical abuse, substance abuse, emotional abuse, is very high among the parents' mind. And the fifth and the biggest reason, where we feel that this is going to be one of the biggest drivers, is limited access to good schools. I mean, just think of India, right? I mean, India has 15 lakh schools, but out of that, only about 35,000 are CBSE schools, only 2,500 ICSE schools, and less than 1,000 international schools. So as a percentage, is probably less than 1.5% of the overall number of schools that's available in India. So largely, we are referring to the schooling industry as public schools, that's government-run schools, or the army schools, Kendra Vidyalayas, Jawahar Navodayas, or the state board affiliated schools, where we all know about the quality of such schools across India. So we're looking at a lot of these students, informed parents, with the improvement in the per capita income of India. We're looking at students asking more in terms of CBSE schools, better quality of education, international schools. And unfortunately, with the cost involved in setting up a school in terms of land, building, infrastructure, availability of resources or land within the city, is a huge blockage in terms of expansion of the quality of the schools in India. That's where I believe that the online schools would really be a game changer for the parents. Of course, it's not all said and done. I'd also like to touch upon the challenges of online schooling. There is a technology divide. There are still large number of families and who do not have access to laptops or stable power at home. There is a limitation of social interaction, especially those parents who are not involved completely. They would not be able to utilize or capitalize on the free time that the free school divides, which brings in, right? So social interaction outside the school with the peers in the communities is an important aspect. Quality assurance is something that, as we scale up and have more students and more teachers, training them and ensuring same quality is definitely a challenge. And the teachers training is the other challenge that we see in the online schooling. Teachers need training and support to effectively deliver online education. We're not talking about the training for educational concepts or pedagogical, but mainly in terms of using the technology. So sometimes it could be an overwhelming experience for teacher to teach in an online context. So in conclusion, I think I would like to stress that, the online school is here to stay. The adoption is much faster than what people are thinking about it. I think a lot of people have missed the trend in the K-12 education space. We believe and we have demonstrated with 21K schools growth in just about 3 years' time to scale to about 7,000 students across 72 countries is an achievement which not many physical schools or other forms of schools would be able to accomplish. So the future of online schooling is going to be adaptable and accessible to large number of Indian families and people of Indian origin outside India. But more importantly, I would also like to stress that it's not in competition with physical school. I don't think I'm referring to any fact saying that the physical schools would close down or become less popular. In fact, it's going to be increasingly popular. Just that parents today also have an option to choose between day school, day boarding school, residential school, and online schooling as an option. And I think we owe it to the parents to expand the options and provisions for the students. So I'll be happy to take any questions that you have for me. And I really thank you for listening to me and would happy to take up the questions. I mean, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, Twitter, or email post the seminar.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks for very detailed, information you have given about the online education and how it's, bringing good result. And it's very important also. You spoke about the challenges, you spoke about the data, the advantages, everything. Yet you maintain that physical education is also equally important, though it you feel that online education has can be more beneficial. So I was going through the questions. Almost all the questions are already answered in your sessions or in your information. But again, I would like to read out those one by one. You can either choose to skip, otherwise, like you can elaborate a little bit more on these questions. So the first question, sir, if you can close your PPT and just leave your camera on so that the audience can have a better view. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, sir. So the first question is, sir, what do you see as the main advantages of online schooling over traditional in-person education?
See, definitely, I think online schooling is not for everyone. I mean, I think that fact is well established. But it does make sense to a lot of informed parents today who can spend time with the kids who are concerned about the learning outcomes in the child. I mean, I have recently on LinkedIn, I discussed that a lot of parents think that a physical school is a daycare, right? I mean, where you just send the kid to a school and then you get a free time for your for the mothers at home or for the elderly people. I don't think such parents would really think of online schooling. Online schooling is for those parents who have seen struggles with physical schooling, not happy with the physical learning outcomes, or do not have access to good quality schools, or do not want to send the kids to to a residential school, right, where it could be the experience could be far more emotionally upheaval for any family to go through. So physical schooling compared to physical schooling, online schooling requires involvement of the parents. It involves, the parents understanding the pedagogy, use of technology. Again, we've never seen any issues with the kids, right? The kids who are joining today in school are those who are born in 21st century, right? I mean, I keep saying that these kids, no longer we speak about golden spoon or silver spoon. We're really talking about a digital spoon today, right? So the kids are born with a digital spoon. They love that experience of sitting in front of the computer, laptop, log into the class, watch the videos. It's far more engaging than I've seen. In fact, my son has been part of 21K school. Today, he's in grade 2. He started with KG1. This is his 4th year. And as a parent, I'm extremely pleased and happy with his academic progress in all aspects.
Great to know, sir. So somebody wants to know, can you share some statistics or data on the growth of online schooling in recent years? Though you have mentioned, I would like you to throw some more light on this, please.
In terms of the total number of students who are studying in the online, right? I mean, based on our internal study, we have seen that it's close to about, more than 1.5 crore students across the world. There are very large online schools in USA, which is even listed on the New York Stock Exchange, which caters to almost like 15 lakh students. So it's a huge market with very few players today in India. Right. In Europe, there are very large online schools like Inspired and King's High and other group of schools which are catering to thousands of students. India has seen a recent shift. Today, in India alone, I would say that there are at least about over a lakh students studying in an online platform. But the numbers could be high because we still don't have the numbers of Indian students studying with the international online schools like Inspired or Chris Alice, and there are a large number of other options which is available for the Indian parents today, right? But eventually, in terms of the market size, it's fantastic. It's as big as the physical school market size in India. And the best part is that, you don't really have to expand. Like, I mean, today it's going to be impossible for us to set up physical schools in different countries, right? The amount of cost, time, energy, efforts involved versus getting students from multiple countries today is as easy as a click of a mouse.
Right, sir. So coming to the challenges, what are the key challenges that students and teachers face when transitioning to online learning environments?
Of course, there are quite a few challenges. It's a different experience altogether. The biggest roadblock for the online school is the social interaction. For parents who are able to keep up the social interaction, use the time in the evening with the families or in the community, it works out beautifully. But if a parent who is going to be living in a secluded place and not making efforts to engage, for example, we have tied up with over 200 sports and activity centers across India. So actually, our students get access to some of the best sports facilities and activity centers across India at a very nominal fee. So it does require parental involvement. So we've seen that sometimes the parents get too overwhelmed with the technology interaction to be able to log into the classes, complete the assignments, submit the assignments daily on the homework basis. So we have seen dropouts based on these challenges as well. Second is that though we are an inclusive school, over 200 students are from special education needs today studying with us. But we are not able to unfortunately cater to all students with different learning, different degrees of learning disabilities that we feel. So there are situations where we feel that such students would be better in a physical space or maybe in a specialized school. But I can tell you from my personal experience, it's a boon. Online schooling is a boon for students with physical disabilities, right? I mean, recently we had a situation, right, where the child was not able to only in January this year, the last academic year, we saw that the teacher and the students found out that the child is wheelchair bound, right? I mean, so she was so happy that I was not judged by the students, by the teachers all throughout. She was able to attend the online classes without being judged that she is on wheelchair bound, should not be able to participate in certain activities. It was only when she was asked to participate in the Republic Day to perform a dance that she said that she is wheelchair bound. So that's the kind of energy and benefits that the online school can provide, especially for these category of students as well.
Nice to know about this experience, sir. Like if we can make a difference in any one person's life, that's really great. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah. So how has online schooling impacted access to education for students in remote or underserved areas?
Oh, huge, huge. Absolutely. I mean, I can quote one of the parent, both the couples are doctors working with NPTC, that's the National Power Thermal Corporation of India, in a place called Dantewada. I'm sure most of you would not have even heard of Dantewada. It's an axillite affected area in Chhattisgarh. And both the doctors were concerned since they were posted at that place, what to do about their school's education. That place does not even have a single CBSE school, right? And they opted for online school because NPTC has NTPC, National Thermal Power Corporation, has fantastic access to internet and others, and both the parents were well educated as well. So they have opted for online school, right? I mean, so just imagine the kind of relief that those parents would have got, saying that they're able to participate in fantastic quality of education being in a place called Dantewada. And also we have a lot of families coming from remote areas, including from the armed forces, which are posted with families in the border areas or remote locations of India. They have also opted for the online schooling. We have today close to about 20% of our students coming from tier 3 to tier 4 cities, right, which do not have access to good quality of education. And personally, what I've seen is that even larger cities like Bombay and Bangalore, though they are categorized as tier 1 and metropolitan city, but I think these cities also have their own population or pockets of population, which is akin to tier 3 and tier 4 cities in terms of access, affordability. So a lot of parents have shifted from Indian curriculum to British curriculum simply because the British curriculum is far better in pedagogy curriculum, and also it's affordable and accessible to meet their pockets.
Nice to know, sir. Are there any specific technologies or tools that have played a significant role in the adoption of online schooling?
Oh, absolutely. See, I think the mistake which most of the physical schools did, I wouldn't call it a mistake, but given the times and circumstances, they did what was best. But as an online school, we are digital first school, right? So we have thought through the entire gamut of technology tools that will be available for students, parents, teachers. So we have a mobile app, we have a learning management system, which is custom designed for us. We have integrated Zoom in a much deeper way compared to a conventional Zoom account that any person would be using. So that gives a lot of classroom management tools for the teachers to manage the discipline and the engagement in the classroom. We also have a personalized learning platform. We have an assessment engine. We have a digital library with over 1 million books available for students to read. We have a virtual lab. So there are fantastic tools and facilities available for the child to get engaged in the online school, right? Which would be difficult for physical schools to replicate unless they make significant investments in education. So every day, over 125 classes are running at 21K school, right? In a week, we generate data of 2 TB of data every week. So all that data has to be stored securely in the cloud storage on Amazon Web Services, and then also to be made available to the parents on demand. So if a child misses the class today, he can definitely by evening log in and watch or scrub through the entire video of the classes today and also get a summary of what is being taught in the school, right? So literally, if you think of it, people with sports background, people who are going through a lot of practices, in arts, music, dance, or even religious classes like Vedic schools and other schools, they have found this, extremely convenient. Because if they are participating in a competition or an event, they have to miss classes. They can always participate in the assessments, complete the homework wherever they are participating in the competition or after the competition itself.
Yes, sir. So you spoke about sports and the extracurricular activities. So how do you manage with the physical exercise of the children? Like what about the sports period or the PT period?
Oh, they have been having that. Of course, the students don't get to play like a ball or carom or, let's say basketball and other sports. But we have, included things like yoga, mindfulness activities, aerobics, and those sessions. The students also have dance classes and art classes. Besides, we also conduct the summer school program, which is actively participated. Our school is registered under ISSO, which is a inter-school competitions for international school students. And just today, this morning, I heard that one of our students has won the gold medal in an athletic event, if I'm right. So our students have been participating in sports and activities. Plus, they get access to over 100 sports and activity, over 200 sports and activity centers across India, right? So in fact, our students get access to temperature controlled swimming pools, turf courts, and best of the sports facilities that's available to any sportsman today.
That's great to know, sir. So could you discuss the role of online schooling in promoting lifelong learning and upskilling in the workforce?
Oh, absolutely. I think there are a lot of companies in fact, Ronnie Screwvala has invested $5 million in 21K School. He runs a company called Upgrad, which is again a online edtech company focused on reskilling and lifelong learning, especially in the higher education and corporate education segment. And they have done fantastically well. So online education as a tool is absolutely, is being used widely. I think Upgrad and a lot of other companies which are involved in the online education space, the tools, systems, processes, protocols, I think more or less the same. It's only that segment. We are focused in the K-12 segment, students from the age 3 to 18 years of old. And companies like Upgrad and others are focused on the higher education space. So it's absolutely. In fact, I have also, participated and learned a lot of other online programs. So it's rather than traveling to a place and attending and spending 3 days, 4 days to complete a certification course, I personally feel that the online programs are much more better for continuous professional development and learning new skills.
Yes, sir. You already spoke about K-12 education, but again, since the question is there, I'm repeating the question. What strategies or best practices have your educational institution implemented to ensure the quality of online education?
Oh, that is huge. I'll tell you some of the best first principles that we had come out with was first that, we decided that what works in a physical school will not work in an online school, right? I mean, that was very evident. You can't really teach the kids the way you teach in a physical school, which means that textbook driven approach, the rote learning methods, or, having a teacher who's teaching all the time and students listening, that model would not work. That's why we opted for a model called as a flip learning. So flipped learning is a very, in a very simple layman terms, is where the homework becomes classwork and the classwork becomes homework, right? And that's why if you see a name of the school 21K, it's a flip of K12. That's how the name of the school was determined. So what happens is here, the kids, right from grade one onwards, have to prepare for the class, come and participate in the discussion. So there are always discussions, there's always collaborations, there's always activities happening between the teacher and the students, right? I mean, that was our first priority that we did. Second is that since we are going to have classes only for 3 hours in primary and only 4 hours in the middle school and above, we wanted to ensure that there is a very active role of home assignment. So all our students do spend at least an hour or more completing the home assignments. So home assignments had to be more skill based and skill oriented rather than just completing worksheets or writing a definition 10 times. That's not the kind of home assignments that we had. So home assignments is again very, it could be a simple, watching a show on Netflix or Discovery channel or something, right? And then preparing a summary and discussing it tomorrow. So that's the home assignment that we had. Third is that we knew it's an online platform, so assessment has to be rethought, right? Because there could be questions around academic integrity, some parents trying to help the child. So we had to reimagine the entire assessment. In fact, I'm proud to say that we are probably the only school which also does an assessment for speaking and listening skills in languages, right? Which is hard to be done in a physical school, and that's an important form of any language, right? But it's goes unexamined, unverified in the physical school space. So we have a continuous assessment practices, class observations, anecdotal records are maintained for the students. There's a lot of data on the student engagement that's captured as well. There's a lot of orientation that we do for the parents to ensure. So we have also introduced, technology tools where the assessments is very clear. The child is not able to log into another, website or use AI tools or Grammarly and other such apps while completing the assessment. So all those things had to be redone in terms of how the assessments have been completed. But there are a lot more in terms of the even the teacher selection criteria, training. We begin the academic year with a week of welcome, 7 days of a time where the kids get to learn and understand with each other, get comfortable with the online tools. Then we have a bridge course of 3 weeks, which is compulsory for all the students. And that's the time when the teachers make observations and notes about the child, because we get students from different geographies, different curriculum boards, different cities, different countries. So it's important for teachers also to get to understand her class, where the childs are coming from, where the children are coming from. So all those practices and many more, right? I mean, it's amazing to see how the teachers, parents, and students have adopted some of the technology tools in the online schooling platform.
Thanks for the detailed explanation, sir. We will take the last question for the session now. What are your thoughts on the future of online education? Do you foresee any major trends or changes on the horizon?
In the immediate term, I would say in the next 3 years to 5 years, I see online schooling getting more penetrated. I expect boards like CBSE, ISSE, IB to also approve online schools and democratize the entire education system in India. We've also been hearing murmurs and whispers about private boards coming into the Indian school education space. And some of these boards would definitely take up, for example, online schooling as a platform and things. Yeah, I think all of them, whomever I have spoken to at the government level or at the other levels, they're all quite excited about the possibilities of online schooling. But the penetration of online schooling is far low. The adoption rate is very high compared to just that, it's just 3 years old in India into the fourth year. But I expect online school to become more prevalent. We're already seeing large groups of schools across the world adopting to online school, and I expect more groups of schools in India to also start the online school platform. In the little longer term horizon, I think we expect online school to become more immersive in their approach. Things like metaverse and others would be an immersive learning experience that no other schools can provide. I think that will transport the schools into a world of learning in its own way. So AI is being integrated. Definitely, I don't expect teachers to be replaced with technology. I think that's something that human interaction would still be required, at least for the next decade or so. We don't know what technologies would unveil after that. It'll be too hard to imagine that. But definitely, I think I still see a trend where the teachers would continue to teach. The lot of AI tools and others could be used to make life easy for teachers and students. So the amount of time which a teacher spends, right, in terms of correcting homeworks, assignments, preparing presentations, all that can be done away with. And the teachers can simply focus on the child as a whole in terms of learning, conducting more remedial sessions, preparing, assignments and sessions for the students. I think that's going to be the focus area. For example, today the presentation that we saw was made on Gamma.app, right? It's an AI tool, and it just took me about 10 to 15 minutes to prepare the entire presentation after keying in the input. So I didn't have to spend time formatting, coloring, picking up the design tools, right? I mean, that's the convenience of AI tool. And definitely, if you think of it today, right, a child who's in grade one, he's going to study for in a school for another 12 years and another at least 3 years of graduation, 15 years, and the world is going to be transformed completely in 15 years' time. So you have to prepare the kids for that era, that decade, right? Which is at least about, it's going to transform. It's very hard to imagine what things will happen, but definitely we can imagine what things will not change, right? It's the skills. Unfortunately, most of the schools are focusing too much on content and concepts and knowledge. I think they're forgetting. So what is important is that not learning how the water cycle works, but understanding how you can conserve water for the benefit of environment, right? That application of knowledge is going to be the core areas. And we can use a lot of these technology tools to implement and expedite that learning approach. I also, personally think that the IQ of the children is far more greater than what it was imagined or thought or factored in our curriculum. I do expect a lot of concepts and knowledge that is covered in the graduation stage would be covered in the high school level itself. And probably in about 2 decades' time, the university education could be dysfunctional or limited to skilled areas, highly specialized skilled areas like medical law and chartered accountancy and so on. But for common, liberal arts and other schemes, I think the school education should suffice for the kids because they'll have to learn continuously, day in and day out, right? I mean, you have to learn and work on concepts where the kids can unlearn and learn new skills and new concepts periodically. So those days are gone where you could say that, I've done my chartered accountant, I'm going to audit the books for the rest of my life. I don't think that's practical. Definitely, even in the immediate era, I don't see that happening for the kids. So the schools have to take a long-term horizon in terms of the career aspiration skill requirements and build the educational infrastructure, which includes curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, and all the aspects to meet that requirement of 10 to 15 years of horizon.
Thanks a lot, sir. You have patiently answered all the questions. School Journal of Education and schoolreformer.com. Thank you for the talk. And we also thank the audience for participating in the event. We will end the session now, sir. Do you want to say anything else?
No, thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to speak on that important topic and emerging topic of online schooling for the society and community at large. Thank you so much once again for having me.
Thanks a lot, sir.